Hey, hey, hey! Audio levels look good. All right. Hello, everyone. Welcome to the BlueGamer Bluecast Morning Show, the daily video game morning talk show where I, a professional video game enthusiast of 30 plus years, Adam Blue, will cover news and industry insights along with what I've been getting into. There. That's right. This morning I actually had my little script prepared to get all that done. But yeah, it is Wednesday, May 29th. We're near the end of May. The releases have come and gone, and it just doesn't seem like it's been a big deal. Like Hellblade 2, no one is saying it's bad, but no one is saying it's good. That's kind of an interesting little mix. I think Microsoft did it right. I guess if they're not going to get something with 100% praise, I think it's cool that it's a little mixed. But we'll see as May goes. But yeah, so I usually like to start off with what I've been getting into. And honestly, I didn't do too much yesterday. Work was busy, a lot of other stuff going on I was busy with. I got some more time in with V Rising. That's about it. And again, that loop is excellent. I can jump in, play for 30 minutes to an hour, and make some progress. The, the deeper I get into the game, the more that opens up, the more I keep gushing about this game, even though there are things about it that I don't like in gaming. But that's really about it. I was tempting to, I beat the Maxim mode in Harmony of Dissonance, so I was thinking, okay, what's the next Castlevania? And it had been Symphony of the Night, the Richter mode to beat that. We'll see. With that, it's because that release, so that Castlevania Requiem that is on PlayStation, that is Symphony of the Night, and Rondo of Blood or Dracula X, the PC Engine game. It's strange how that only got a PlayStation release. So, I'm just meaning that in terms of when I then want to jump in and play a game, what was neat about playing Harmony of Dissonance is, just whatever handheld I had laying around, I can go into whatever room. The thing about this Castlevania game, it's only on PS4 and PS5, and so if I want to play it, I have to stream it. And while it works fine, like if I want to play it on a handheld, I have to stream it. And if the main TV's in use, I can't play it. The thing about playing one of those 2D side-scrolling games, especially with that difficulty, is I can't afford when there's some artifacting or buffering that occurs at any given time. I could go 5 minutes and the game runs smooth, and then in the middle of maybe an enemy fight that I'm needing to survive in order to have full health for a boss, there's just that delay of like a second where everything freezes and comes back, and then I got hit, and I'm like, oh crap. So it's like I'm too scared to play a game like that over cloud streaming. Like if I was playing Call of Duty over cloud streaming, that happened every once in a while, I wouldn't care. I'd die 40 times in a match. But that's the thing, and hopefully Konami has some news soon of Symphony of the Night and that Rondo of Blood getting ported to PC, Switch. I would think they would do that. So hopefully they get around to that. The rumor is, though, that they are working on a Castlevania game. I just cannot guess what it's going to be because it doesn't have the original team. Although the mobile version that came out in 2019 that did, when I say original team, I mean they do have original people. They just don't have Koji Igarashi, who started the the Metroidvania trend. But they did a good job with the 2019 mobile release, even though it wasn't a Metroidvania, it was still a Castlevania game, and I think they did a good job for what it was, actually. And there's not, when it comes to the gaming space, there's not much coverage of that, but part of that could be because Castlevania sort of fell off because, it was, in 2010s, then we started getting the Lords of Shadows game, which had nothing to do with Castlevania, and then, yeah. Anyway, this isn't a Castlevania show. It could be. Let's see. Anything else? So I'm going to dive into some news articles I found, and then we will just look at the latest news that's popped up because it's very interesting to see what happens there. First of all, and a lot of times what it is let's say I like to go through the news on the feeds I've put together just to randomly see what new news drops in the morning. But there's some things from yesterday I want to make sure I don't miss, or the day before, because this is what I might be doing, further on. So, for instance, this is from Tom Ivan at VGC. Xbox reportedly signs the first game from Rocksteady co-founder's new studio. So that's very interesting. 100 Star Games is said to be developing a single-player action-adventure game. As far as I know, it uses Unreal Engine 5. Yeah, it shows right here. Let's see. Microsoft is said to be financing the project, which can initially be expected to be released for Xbox consoles and PC. 100 Star also has a listing on the Great Place to Work website, which reads, 100 Star Games is a video game startup based in East London. Our ethos is creating a small team of only 100 industry veterans and emerging talents who are committed to crafting cutting-edge game experience that inspire and captivate players worldwide. So a lot of corp speak there, but a team of only 100 industry veterans. So I guess the idea is to keep the team relatively lean. Yeah, 100 is not small, but compared to these AAA games that come out, and this is ex-Rocksteady, Microsoft's backing it. So on Microsoft's mind, this is a big-time AAA style game that they are going to put together. Now, it's made by original Rockstar team members, so I'm guessing the emphasis is it's gonna be like an open world, but emphasis on action, kind of evolving the action the Arkham games are known for. At least I hope that's the plan. And we need to go back to that. I think, like the Spider-Man games, kind of continue the tradition of that Batman combat, and I think it's fine. It works good for Spider-Man, but I feel like we could evolve that a bit more. Assassin's Creed tried it too, and basically it's making it where if you're surrounded by NPC enemies, that there's a sense of stickiness between them. So like you can attack one, maybe depending on where you're looking or who's coming at you, you'll automatically attack the other. I'd like that idea, but I think there's some controls that they can add in there to make it where you do have a degree of control to make it, I look at the Jet Li game that came out on PS2 where you use the right stick to attack. Even the Blade game used the right stick to attack. I'm not saying games should use the right stick to attack. What I'm saying is I think there's room in the action genre to, without going full-on character action, be able to have good combat between multiple characters at once. Like there's the character action type of combat, and then there's like the Assassin's Creed type of combat. And I think there's elements of both you could put together to make a good combat system. And I hope that's what they're working on. Let's see. Oh, they Steven, right stick to control something. Where have I heard this idea? Yeah, it's funny, isn't it? Like I feel like the right stick hasn't fully been used like it could be. And, I guess for camera control, sure, that makes sense, aiming and all that. And then, like in V Rising, you can do it to aim where your attack goes. And then in some games, it's just the direction you press is just a button press. But there could be more done with that, can't there? Anyway, this is an example of no one can predict or knows where the industry is going. Because after all these layoffs, the Microsoft turns around and kind of funds this new studio. You can see it's really about having ideas that make sense budget-wise. So if they're using a team of 100 and it's veterans, that's pretty neat, actually. Okay. GameStop shares rally as video game retailer raises nearly $1 billion. So I'm not going to pretend I understand this stuff, but from what I understand, this is kind of the meme. Yeah, it says right here, so-called meme stock, where it's in Grapevine, Texas, just down the street from me. Literally down the street. I would drive by the GameStop office most of my life, and I even went in there a few times to be like, hey, is there some job where I'm not selling games? But no. Anyway, yeah, it's just one of those meme stocks again, which is interesting because I don't know if that was the same thing with AMC. I don't know what that does exactly for GameStop. Is that keeping GameStop afloat when normally they would be gone at this point? I don't know. And no one really even speaks about that. They usually just speak on how these meme stocks happen, and then all of a sudden they make all this money. But I don't know the implications. Even this doesn't really say what that is. So, let's see. Okay, here's a series of articles I want to read through real quick. I'm not gonna read through them, skim them. Look at the title and then just assume. My child spent a fortune on a Chinese video game. What now? Okay, and I didn't read this whole thing, but I get what they're saying. And then there's, Cuyahoga. I'm not even gonna try. County mother sues video game makers over 12-year-old son's gaming addiction. Like 12-year-old gaming addiction, that is so easy to happen. I have kids in this age range, and they will stay on a game longer than I did, even though I played a lot of games, growing up. But I think it's just there's a lot of things how just the environment's different for kids when it comes to socializing with your friends. Anyway, there was that, and then kids playing 10 to 12 hours a day, local mom sues makers of video games claiming. So there's a lot of this coming up, and I feel like at the end of the day, a lot of these things have to do with the parents being there, parents monitoring their kids, helping them. I think it's really all it boils down to, because anything can be addicting, but there is this interesting intersection of kids growing up with this kind of online socializing, and then video games happen to have an online socializing component, so they kind of marry each other without room for kind of the go outside, although that does happen still with the kids. My youngest has friends that live nearby, so he'll go outside and play with them. But I find it very interesting. Like there was more when I was younger. Let me put it this way: if I was younger right now, there would be more enticing me to stay in and play games and socialize that way. When I was younger, yeah, there was video games, but at that time, not everyone wanted to play video games when I was younger. I mostly kept gaming to myself. Just because it wasn't things people were interested in. And it just nowadays that's so different that you could just, anyone's going to be playing a video game of some kind. Let's see. Okay, we'll move on. This is interesting. Sorry, I only drink wine that was aged listening to the Nier Automata soundtrack now. So that's kind of funny. Yeah, so there's a company that is making their own wine, and they do it with the Nier Automata soundtrack, like, plugged right into the barrel and playing. I'm sure those sound waves are reverberating through the fluids, causing some electron disturbance. I'm just saying things now. But that is pretty funny. Wait, hold on. He immediately compared it to those cows they play classical music at to yield more milk. Okay, that's interesting. Okay, I didn't want to deep dive into science, but that's interesting. Another one, because I don't know if I'll touch on it today, is it's pretty interesting when they showed this like teaser trailer for the new Black Ops 6. The rumor was it would be Gulf War, and I think we're seeing that now. And it showed like Bill Clinton. Who else did it show? Bill Clinton, Margaret Thatcher, H.W. Bush, talking about there's things you don't know. So here's what I find interesting. Is this story just going to be like an alternate history? Or is this story going to be where, here's some... It's still alternate history, but more of here's some background stuff that happened. Or is it going to be more conspiratorial of like, now that we've learned more about nations and their desires to go to war and what we've been up to, I wonder if they're going to dive into that. I kind of doubt it, but I think it's interesting to, do this. I'm curious what the story's actually going to be. So, and then Star Wars Hunters coming out on mobile and Switch on June 4th. This does not look interesting at all to me, although it hasn't. I would say, past tense, it hasn't. This new trailer, the graphics, I like the graphics and the art style. It's almost like they scaled back. It's a little bit there, like when you see the characters' faces, like the sharp edges are very reminiscent to like Warcraft, Fortnite, that look. But other than that, like technically it looks pretty fun. I just don't see myself playing a 4v4 Star Wars PvP game. I just maybe for a second, but like it's interesting, and this is what's funny is what was going on with Helldivers 2. And I don't know if that will come up when we look at the news here shortly, but how, players are kind of getting bored of it and they don't have too much more content. And I was like, yeah, that's a slippery slope when designing a game, because this kind of goes back to games needing to have both the single player campaign, or not single player. I keep saying that. What's the word? A narrative driven campaign and the multiplayer, because you could go back and forth between them if you're bored, and they can drop content for single player stuff. They can drop content for multiplayer stuff. Yeah, because I guess Helldivers 2 users are saying, they're kind of getting bored, and the developer even said that they're going to be slower at releasing new stuff. And so there's been this drop off of players because they've had these in Helldivers 2. There's been these latest initiatives, or these where if enough players do something, it changes like what's next with the game. And apparently there weren't enough players to do this. So, players are, speaking out about this and saying, hey, let's get some Xbox players, which that would be an interesting way to go about it. But what I think is going on here is you can play a game that's multiplayer, and I know this is something that I deal with. I play a game that's multiplayer. It's fun. I play it for a little bit, maybe right when it comes out, and then I just completely stop, because it's like, okay, I've done everything. Even if there's updates, I've still done everything. It's interesting how these games do that. And, if you look at games that are multiplayer that last a while, it's because there's a lot of content being dropped. Although, Helldivers was a $40 purchase. I think it's totally worth it. It would be cool if it had some sort of open world narrative. Again, and I talked about this with the Evil Dead multiplayer game, because in both these games they've designed these giant open worlds that you can explore, and there's so much to find. And they should just have it, even though in Helldivers 2 they're auto generated, they should have maybe like a series of 20 pre-built maps that maybe have different biomes, but then they have different things the characters have to go to explore and then try to survive. And then I don't know why they didn't do that. Evil Dead did it a little bit, and maybe they did it, but it's weird, because in Evil Dead they would have these open world missions, but you couldn't save your game. It was more like, okay, here's your one shot to like do the objective. I would rather it been a larger, persistent. Okay, I'm gonna save in this cabin, come back in 2 days, continue my game. That's what they need to do, and I'm saying that, but I'm pretty sure. Okay, let's jump into news. One, Evercade has sold 1 million cartridges, so this is pretty neat. So Evercade is a third-party sort of console, and it has a handheld. Basically, it's these cartridges you could buy. They look like those Neo Geo Pocket carts, but basically the cartridges you buy from old school games, Namco, maybe Activision, I don't know, Atari stuff, and television stuff. And I was always like, is there a market for this? I mean, because I kind of like this, but I have ways to play these games. But it is cool to hear that they have sold 1 million cartridges. I would think that's good news. Let me see if it actually has a little bit more information in here. No, actually, no, literally this article has nothing. It has this link. I guess it's telling me to go to. Blaze Entertainment hits 1 million cartridge sales milestone and appoints Eidos founder and Tomb Raider publisher Dominic Wheatley as chairman. So that's interesting, because this is physical games, and is it doing that good? And we have in television and Atari emerged, right? And they were going to make that Amico. and that was a console. Maybe that was Atari's thing to be like, okay, there is room to have other electronics devices. Because think about it. Think of all of the devices that have been coming out, all the retro handhelds, all the PC handhelds. There's so many devices coming out that there's probably something these companies are seeing that like these physical devices to play games are working. So let's see. There's a quote by him, but can you trust a quote? When I was introduced to the Blaze team and found what they had created, I was so impressed. The design and power of the hardware and the slate of games they had managed to license already was awesome. I got down on my knees and began to pray. When they asked me to join them, I was like, hell yeah. So, I wonder if the idea is to maybe expand the cartridges that come out. But it's very interesting because, like, if you were to then buy this, you would then buy these boxes that have the cartridges in them. I mean, that handheld looks cool and everything. It's like partly curiosity, but partly this is a neat way to play games. And I wonder if there are people older than me, because I think a lot of these games, even though there's a lot that came out during my time when I played, there are some older titles. I wonder if they're trying to directly target gamers of older generations that don't really have the time to set up emulation and buy a retro device and set it up. Because it's like already there and done. I wonder. I mean, hey, they sold 1 million. Something's working. That's for sure. All right. Activision wins lawsuit against engine owning. So, this has to do with the, if I'm not mistaken, the cheater or cheat engine or whatever. And yeah, that makes sense. Come on. 14 million. Whew. All right. Let's see. Call of Duty Black Ops 6 continues Xbox bet on Activision boost for Game Pass. Yeah, I talked about that yesterday. So we're going to have Black Ops 6 on Game Pass. Very interesting. Someone made a comment on yesterday's video about the other Call of Duty games being on Game Pass, and it's like, yeah, that makes sense. Throw them on there. I know they were reworking the multiplayer to work anyway, so I'm sure that's going to happen. But I don't know if they would do it right when it comes out, or maybe trickle a few before to get people on, or what. But I wonder how much this is going to. So I wonder if, like, Microsoft had this Hellblade 2 drop plan, and then they're like, well, we're going to drop Call of Duty on Game Pass, so we'll make that our thing. I wonder. Yeah, it'd be, and if they raise the price, what if by the end of this year, next year, they raise the price? Would they do that before? I don't know. Multiverses relaunches to more than 114,000 concurrent players on Steam. Okay, that seems like a lot. That's great. Hopefully that continues. I mean, this is a very different type of game. There is no, there's Brawlhalla and other Smash likes, but something of Aether, Ruins of Aether, or Ruins of, I don't know. But this is like a big IP. There's a lot Warner Brothers stuff. There's a lot of good IPs on this, so that's where I could see that this kind of. It would be cool if this is like the new like default like Smash game to play, because Smash is only on one platform. All right. A PlayStation VR 2 PC adapter has been spotted. Yeah, that was something that was either rumored or something. Shortly after that, Hitoki, I said that guy's name wrong, that new CEO took over on PlayStation and wanted to change things up, make things, more broadly available and accessible. One idea was that the PlayStation VR 2 to be used on PC because it only works on PlayStation. There's not much to do. I sold the first PSVR before they announced the date of the 2 because I wanted to capitalize on getting the best I could from selling it. And then when they announced the PSVR 2 and I saw that nothing was backwards compatible, I was like, there's no reason for me to buy this. Because I already had so many PlayStation 1 VR games. But I guess, I have so many PlayStation 1 VR games I can not play now. So I think my next step is really just waiting for when the price goes down on this VR 2 if that happens. But with it being available on PC, it's like, okay, well then price is probably not going to go down because people will be able to use it on PC. But then it's like, well, I might as well just buy a VR made to be used on PC. So weird times. I don't know what that is. Intercept Games team to be laid off. That's sad. Cyberpunk 2077's development is officially over. Interesting. So we can reflect real quick. That game, when they announced it, I was like, yeah, it's not going to be great. And then I bought into the hype. And then I played it, and I was like, yeah, that's not great. Apparently, it's a lot better now. But too late, I've moved on. I would like to try it one day, but... I mean, I have tried it. That is what I'm saying. Just I haven't tried it since they've done all the changes. Is it functioning now? Haha, yeah. Autonomous, and that's the thing. From what I hear, the game is amazing. It's just, and I've seen that happen where a game comes out, it's bad, and then they make it good. But I just, to me, Cyberpunk 2077 is in that same headspace as, the Fallout games or the Bethesda jank narrative-driven games, where I don't believe in the world in these games. Like when I'm playing a video game where it's pretty janky and they're making you choose dialogue, but you're not really making choices. It's more of just like, it makes it seem like there's more interaction. It takes me out of it because it seems so forced to make you think that then I am thinking, and I'm like, wait a minute, I'm not in this. I don't know how to explain that. But yeah, those games, I could see through the veil, I guess is what's going on. Let's see. CD Projekt, we were just talking about them, wants to release major games more frequently. Well, I don't know about that unless you have a different plan, which I think, yeah, it's using Unreal Engine 5, so that makes it easier. Okay, so that was that news article. Destiny 2, The Final Shape is releasing next week. I don't think I'll play that. Let's see, anything else? Oh, here we go. The Legend of Zelda Great Deku Tree Lego set launches on September 1st. Apparently, it's like $300. Yeah, so let's take a look at that. Would I get this? Maybe if it was something other than the tree, which I get it. I don't know. Yeah, I don't think you guys can hear the music, but it's playing Zelda music. So yeah, Great Deku Tree. We have, this is what is this? Either Breath of the Wild or Twilight Princess inspired, or Twilight Princess. Whatever that newer one was called, I can't believe I forgot it. Yeah, because of the way he looks, Link looks. Like, this is neat, but $300. If it was Hyrule Castle or something, sure, but that I don't know. The other day we were out shopping for Legos, and we came to the conclusion that they're all super expensive for what we're getting. It's almost like, yeah, we would pay for it, but then when we look at it, it's like, really this much? Like, there's this awesome X-Men Blackbird jet. It's $85. It's not even a full jet. It's like a truncated one. It's weird. Okay. It's Assassin's Creed Shadows multiplayer. Well, let's see. There was some multiplayer in the past Assassin's Creeds, and they weren't bad, but nothing that really... Okay, it's saying that's unlikely. Well, thank you, article, Insider Gaming. You asked a question. You say it's answered. You could literally, in this title, say no. Here's why. And then I'd be, okay, let's have a discussion of why. But no, you want me to look, and then I see unlikely. You don't even know. You don't even know. I'm just joking. Let's see. Wizardry, I've been hearing a lot of good things about that, but I don't know if it's my thing. It's cool. It's first person, but it looks neat. This might be something to try out. I remember playing those old games on PC, and I just couldn't get into them because I didn't like how... It was almost like a turn-based first-person shooter, I guess is how you explain those. Well... Okay, Hellblade 2 debuts 10th on the Steam charts. So, interesting. 10 doesn't seem bad, considering this is, like, on Game Pass. So you could, like, just pay $10, $15 and play it that way. But people were willing to actually buy it and pay, 10. It's funny because there's this kind of parallel thing with releasing movies in the theaters and then streaming, having something on Game Pass or to buy. I don't know. Well, anyway. Oops, wrong scene. But no, that was about it for today's episode. Yeah, not too much going on. We're going to have a lot of news coming soon because there should be some Sony. There's going to be some Sony announcements coming, and I don't know if that's going to be in a Summer Game Fest thing, a showcase which only has 2 more days to happen. I mean, that was the rumor. Which it could because Sony's supposed to show off Concord. And there was the Astrobot game. So there's 2 new games that could be coming. It would be cool if they came out today, because then I think that would satisfy the PlayStation release schedule for this year. So we'll see. Anyway, y'all, thanks for watching. Thanks for tuning in, and we'll talk tomorrow. See ya.